right, so
Full intro.
yep, here we go.
Everything. I have to redo it all.
Yes.
I hope you're recording now because this should be the intro. It's just my utter disdain.
Yeah. Fueled by hate and disdain.
Yeah. Welcome to the Colecast. I'm Nathan Brandt, and today I'm joined by We Are Makers. Would you guys please introduce yourselves and then tell a little bit about who you are and how you're here?
Yes, so I'm Kate Lenny,
I'm Jack Lennox.
and we publish We Are Makers, which is a quarterly magazine, and we tell the stories of makers from all over the world. And we both started by, I was a maker myself, and so I knew the struggles of trying to tell your story and trying to get people to appreciate handmade goods. And so we decided to start a magazine and kind of come away from the whole digital world.
Yeah.
So I did furniture making, then I did a little bit of metalwork, a little bit of leatherwork, and everything that I've done came back to asking the question of why is it so hard to share your story?
Yeah.
And so our solution to that was a printed magazine.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And Kate was really, really pushing for the printed side of it from the start because it's something that lasts.
Right.
So Kate and I have always had an affinity with stuff that's made by hand, traditional stuff, whether it's, old buildings, old joinery techniques, whether it's, just nice furniture or, we're product designers, whether it's I've done a bit of blacksmithing in the past, whatever that looks like. It's something we love, and it's something that we've seen disappearing slowly, but surely disappearing. Right. So for years, it was on the dinner table conversation. Why are we seeing less of this? Why are we seeing less? And yeah, of course, Instagram's great for seeing the highlight reels, and Instagram's a large part of why many makers are here and why there has been a resurgence. Don't get me wrong, the We Are Makers magazine does not outweigh Instagram in that sense, but what it does provide is a far more in-depth look at makers. What's the real story? It's not what do they make, it's why are they here?
Right.
Why are they doing it? So yeah, that's kind of where we are with it. I mean, where we are locally is 5.5 years, and this is our US tour. We're doing a bit of a US tour at the moment. Flew into Boston, flown out to North Carolina. We're right in the middle of the 4-week tour at the minute, and we're obviously here with you in Anderson, Indiana. Yeah, thousands of miles away from home. And look, over the last 5.5, coming on 6 years now, we've managed to travel the world with this, and a lot of hard work to make that happen. But just find makers and
interesting people doing interesting crafts.
Yeah, just try and pull them out of obscurity and just show people that it can be done.
Right. Well, and you guys are in a place where you're attempting to bridge the gap.
That's
where
exactly
you have people that are experts in their craft, but they are not experts at marketing or telling their story, or maybe they've been so busy they haven't even thought about telling their story.
Exactly.
And so you give a longer format. You had said the first one that you printed had 80 makers in it, but because you had so many, you weren't really able to go through. It was more like an about me per maker.
Exactly,
and now you're doing about 10
makers.
And so, I mean, you're going and interviewing them and talking with them, and you are extracting out the narrative.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The big thing that we're pushing more and more and more towards is extracting it, exactly as you say. Because, and many people, you might think this yourself, like, you just do what you do. You don't realise how uncommon it is.
Or how special it is, even.
And your place here at Coal Iron is a really good example. You're uncommon amongst an uncommon trade within an uncommon career path. Yeah. Like, craft's an uncommon career path.
Right.
Blacksmithing's not the most common of all that.
No.
And then on top of that, you're making the machines for that. Like, it really is the king of all crafts. Like, you're making the tools for the crafts. Right. Or for the tool makers.
For all the other crafts.
Quite literally, second last place we were where we seen one of your machines was Simone and Samoa's workshop in France. They made the tools to rebuild the Notre Dame on your tools. Yeah. Like, you're making the tools for the tool makers that are making the tools for the craftsmen. And the point to that is a lot of craft people don't understand how uncommon they are amongst uncommon people, and it is becoming our job to just give them a bit of appreciation and a bit of space for that in an otherwise very busy world.
Taking it off screen and putting it onto paper, so it lasts a lot longer.
Well, and you had made a comment too. It's like you can't leave a digital article on a bench for someone else to find and scour through. You know, I remember as a kid going through all my dad's old car magazines about building race cars and stuff. You know, and they might have been 50 years old by the time I was reading them.
Yep.
You know, there's something pretty significant there.
I think a lot about people that will send me links and articles and even some of the PDFs I've got saved for various things. And like, I can never find them again.
No.
If I send you a cool article, like you find something, you'll look at it once, you might, as you said before, just skim over it. Like,
Right.
you're not reading it.
Right.
Whereas if I want to find out about, I was thinking just the other day, not long before we left, I had to do some calcs on a bridge, and just a kind of average thing you do. And I know exactly where I left your dad's old book for his old structural engineering when he was doing stuff in the railway. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you find these things, you know where you put them, and I think that's a big thing, is like knowing where you put the information. And I often think, and one of my sort of early thoughts when Kate came to me about this idea of the magazine was the original Reader's Digest or the original National Geographic.
Yeah.
Like, people have got them in huge collections.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe one day We Are Makers will be like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty cool.
It's
And-
very cool.
And the thing about the magazine is the discovery side. You know,
Yeah.
every edition's got different crafts in it.
Right.
So say that you aren't a blacksmith or a glassmaker, you'll
Yeah.
discover different types of crafts that you didn't think existed. You know,
Right.
and the last edition we just printed was a coin artist from Slovakia that we went to visit.
Oh, my goodness.
Like he's a third generation, you know, and
Yeah.
like the history he's been able to keep alive. And
Yeah.
he says, "You're the first person that's come to my workshop and saw my work in
Right.
person." And I was like, "That's pretty cool," you know.
Yeah,
and
that's
we've been
very
able to
cool.
take his story because he's like, I'm not very good at taking pictures or sharing my story, but so this has been a really good opportunity for me,
Yeah.
and he really appreciates that. So I feel like that's for me is success.
Yeah.
And that's more common than not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For people to say, like, I don't like taking pictures, don't like putting myself out there.
Right. They're there to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
They're there to do
Yeah.
the work.
Which I
Right.
understand.
Yeah.
And it's a whole other job.
Yeah.
Like, the marketing
Yeah,
side's a
it
whole
is.
other job that these people just have
Right.
to get used to. It's- Yeah, it's just a massive thing in
So
itself.
just two of us can drop in their workshop and give them a little bit of exposure to
Yeah.
people that had never heard of them. And to me, that's pretty cool.
So the magazine then, or periodical, or bookazine,
Whatever marketing term we decide to use. Yeah.
would you say it's really 100% story driven? Like the
100%.
sales of it is just telling the story of these individuals that have
Exactly.
spent their lives developing their handicraft or their craft work or their, you know.
Yeah, it's story driven, and although they're released on dates, it's not date
Dated.
stamped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that's really date stamped will be we'll write a bit in the forward about what we were doing that previous quarter.
Right.
And it's just, we're trying to make it as timeless as possible, because I really think these things can exist.
Yeah.
And as we revisit people in 5 and 10 years, and that's a lot of what our podcast's about, revisiting people that we've previously done in the magazine, just on account of we don't have enough pages to cover everything
Yeah.
we want to. We
Yeah.
couldn't do revisits within the magazine. Like, yeah, it's just stories. It's just nice stories about cool people. And, you know, we spoke to someone pretty early on. They're like, what's the goal for it? And I was like, look, if we finish this and wrap it all up at 60, 70, 80, whatever that looks like, and someone's like, oh, I read your magazine to my kid and he's now a blacksmith or he's now
Yeah.
a chair maker, like, that worked.
Yeah.
We had a good life doing it and it worked.
Well, I got
Yeah.
a message from someone on Facebook, and it was a mother of a blacksmith who's going to university, and he was kind of like that in between stage with the pandemic,
Yeah.
where like he wasn't getting a lot of exposure, and she said, I picked up your magazine and I've bought every one since, and that has been a big inspiration to him to see that he can do this. And I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, well, that to me that's a big yay. It's
Yeah.
a big yay moment, you know.
Yeah.
So
And I
that's-
hope it's encouraging for other craftspeople as well, that there is people out there like us. Granted, I don't think there's many, but like whether you do it on yourself on Instagram or there's Instagram accounts, or you know, see you sharing other people's work that's
Yeah.
using your what's the grant that you guys are involved in? There's the blacksmithing grant.
Yeah.
There's stuff like
That.
that is going
I
on.
forget the name.
It's like FIE.
Oh
or something.
yeah, Forging Industry Association. Yes,
That's it.
yes,
yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Like just educating people that stuff is going on.
Right.
Like my career may have been very different if I picked up one of them.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think everybody's would, and that's
Yeah.
all you really want to do.
Right.
Is just show people that these things are out there.
Right.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Well, and so FIRF. So they reached out to us because they had several high schools rebuilding their machine shop class
Cool.
to start training children in how to run machines and equipment and build things again. And they kept getting grant requests for buying our presses. And so they were like, can we just partner? It's like, absolutely. Where do I sign up?
Yeah, good.
So as many, I have seen a massive resurgence over the last 10 years of, we have presses in college metalworking departments, but then more and more they're going into reopening of machine shop classes all across the United States in high schools. As young as like 13 years old, people are being put in a position where they get to try forging materials and see how metal moves and doing foundry work and welding, and it's just like
having that exposure to it at a young age is amazing.
Everything, because again, it goes back to you don't even know it's an option. You didn't even know, right?
Yeah.
We've got something like 4.5 million hobbyist carpenters in the United States and maybe 50,000 blacksmiths, because people didn't even know that they could go out and they didn't even know, right?
It's interesting blacksmithing, isn't it? Because it seems like quite an inaccessible craft. It's hot metal, like
right.
it's all about cloak and dagger. Like like traditionally, it's been about sort of cloak and dagger,
right.
But really, it's a hammer and anvil and a fire.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
I think about starting a woodworking business, you need a plethora of tools. Starting a blacksmithing.
I got started with a 55-gallon drum that I had a galvanized water pipe that I'd blow into the fire, a rock, and my dad's claw hammer that I stole secretly, and I fell in love. And then it's just been that ever since.
I think that is it, isn't it? It's lowering the bar so that more people can pick these things up.
Right.
More people. And whether they do or don't, like, they might just become a consumer of it. There's a lot of people that will have no interest. And I kind of think that's what We Are Makers hoped to be originally, was just show people that they can buy from these people. And then it's evolved into these crafts can live on.
Yeah.
Like, just go and search out the person.
Right.
Go and find the person that you want something to hang your curtains on. Go and search out the person. Go and look for, like, in the UK it would be Nigel Tyas, who makes hand forged ones, and it's just just a little bit different.
Right.
And I also think the rest of the world is getting more expensive.
Right.
The gap between craftspeople or craftspersons' costs and the rest of the rubbish that's out there is getting smaller and smaller.
Right.
So if you just do a good job of showing people you're out there,
they might choose you.
I'm hopeful for the craft world. And I really hope at some point we can turn around and be like, we were part of that.
Yeah.
We're part of that hope that there now is for there.
Yeah.
That's really why we do it.
Right. That's awesome. All right, Evan, since you ruined our first take, how was that one? Thanks. All right, so Evan's going to do an intermission and snip in some fun stuff because he forgot to hit record. So.
That wasn't too bad. So we did. We got our designer, who was actually a graphic designer that was 2 years above us at university. So it was quite nice. He was kind of local, and
he studied product design as well, so he got the product thing of it.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's brilliant, Tyrone. And then we had a editor, found our printer, and then I had to figure out all the shipping. And it all came together. Yeah. We did run a Kickstarter campaign just to see,
what the interest was, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I always say, unfortunately, it failed, but it didn't fail. It showed us a lot.
Yeah.
We didn't hit the funding.
No, we didn't hit the funding.
And it failed in that sense.
Yes, but everybody came back and bought it anyway when we just said, you know what, we're so passionate about it. We want to do this. Let's bring it to life. Let's just try it. And I can't, the first time that I held it in my hands, I was like, this is like a thing. This is cool, And I remember the boxes that came. We literally could not walk in our house because there was boxes up the stairs, in the bathroom, let's just say magazines under the bed, everywhere. And Jack was like, I hope our flat can hold this weight.
Very luckily, the flat that we were living in at the time, which by the way was in full hog renovations because it was built in 1863, so I ripped it back to brick and was re-insulating it.
So that was
it was sketchy time.
Yeah.
But luckily, with it being built so old, it was It was
sturdy.
But,
It's
yeah, it was
sturdy,
sturdy. Because
yes.
I think if it was a modern flat, like, downstairs was getting a couple thousand magazines, right?
I always remember putting it up onto our website, and we sold, like, it was ping. Like, the interest was just insane. I was like,
Bang in the middle of COVID.
we
as well.
must have
Yes.
done
2020.
something. 2020, yeah. Everyone was at home, so nobody could
Yes.
go anywhere. So they
Right.
were really wanting something to read.
Right.
And like makers couldn't go to market, so it was a good idea to still share their story.
Yeah.
And,
Nobody wanted to turn on the news because it was just bad news.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
So yeah, that was the first one, edition one, and of course it was like a proper book. It was like, I don't know, there was 80 makers in the first one, which
Okay.
was just insane. Now it's only 10 because we do it quarterly. But,
Okay.
They're also much more in-depth stories.
Yeah.
The magazine in itself has changed loads. We
it's
talked about
evolved
this before,
a lot.
yeah.
You know, you learn a lot.
Oh, yeah. Well, you don't even know what questions to ask when you get started.
Exactly, and I'm like,
That's right.
and at the start when I was contacting makers, like, we don't charge the makers to be in it. There's no,
Yeah.
you know, cost
That was the
for
ground
that.
rule. That was number one ground rule. If we were going to do this, it has to be the lowest possible barrier for
Entry,
entry
yeah.
for
Yeah.
makers.
And people thought it was a scam. Like, people were like,
course
"No,
they
I don't want involved. It's going to cost me money." And I was like, I was trying to explain. I mean, who am I? Like, I've
Right.
just started this. I had no, you know, what do you say? Value maybe in
Yeah,
the
no-
space.
yeah.
They didn't know who I was, so
Yeah.
it could have been a scam.
Sure.
But I was trying to prove to myself that no, I was a maker. This is my story, and this is what I'm trying to do. And it took a few editions for people to like be like, "Oh, this is actually a thing," you know. And we do
Right.
get people come back say, "Oh, can you tell my story now?"
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of evolved into this really nice piece of
I
work.
think when it started, it was more of a catalogue than it is now. It was basically just 80 plus makers about me pages that
Yeah.
they'd never
Got
ever
it.
written for themselves
Yeah.
Sure.
in a beautifully printed magazine.
Right.
And then it's turned into, we started interviewing people,
and actually,
and now it's entirely interview based, and now we're
The-
travelling for it all. And
the person on the front cover of edition one we went to see was Alex Pohl, who has
Oh,
one
yeah,
of
yeah.
our machines.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's two of them.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
has two of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did a podcast when we just released it yesterday.
Yeah. Oh,
So
perfect.
it's just kind of this really nice. We go back and feature makers we've featured before in person.
yeah, that was a big thing for us. Like the gravitas of the situation in craft and having to make sure it exists.
Yeah.
It couldn't be a one and done.
Right.
So that's how the podcast was born. Like, let's go back and revisit these people,
Yeah.
see where they are. We started the podcast 3 years after the first launch of the magazine. So let's go back and see how these people are getting on. And then we've done a couple of documentary films, and in a few more years we'll probably launch that full scale. Like
Yeah.
how can we stay up to date? Going back to the milk
Yes.
farmer, the milk
Yeah.
doesn't arrive. How can we stay up to date
Right.
and also continue to serve these makers?
Right.
That's the important bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's so. I mean, I would love to know. You said you said something where when you were getting started, you kind of didn't know where to start, right? With distribution and print. How did you answer those questions? What did that look like?
research.
Yeah.
Just
Kate's a
re-
phenomenal researcher.
Yeah, just
Unbelievable.
Yeah, contact people. Like, I didn't know anything about print to start with, and I
Right.
bought this book off Amazon. I can't remember what it's called. It's like, what was, you know, the book How to Make a Magazine.
Oh, okay.
And that literally took my hand. Like,
Yeah.
it was brilliant. It was written. If I recommend it to anybody who wants to start a magazine. But I think it's just doing and just
Right.
yeah, trusting yourself that, you know, there's people out there who do want to help you. Like the printers, for example, I had no idea. Like paper, you know, color, nothing about that. And they
Yeah.
just explained the whole process to me and took my hand and was like, this is how it works.
Yeah.
Same with the copy editor. She gave me ideas on what questions I could ask. You know, just gave me so much value and understanding of how this whole process works. So just ask people.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
gonna
and
help
don't be
you.
scared when people say no.
Yeah.
Like whatever
Right.
you're doing, because if someone says no, that's fine. That's on them. That's not a reflection of what you're trying to do.
Right.
It's about them.
Right.
Subsequently, we get a lot of questions about how to start a magazine. Yeah, fine. There's my phone number. Just phone me. Like,
Yeah.
we'll tell you because we've received the no's.
Yeah.
You just asked everybody.
Yeah.
And you could maybe say 80% of them wouldn't tell you.
Right.
The 20% that did, that was enough to get started.
Oh, yeah.
We sat down with
Absolutely.
Jamie, he's a leather worker in Cleveland 2 days ago at Write and Read. And his closing statement to our podcast, Jordan, sorry. Jamie was another one. We've done quite a lot the few weeks we've been here.
Yeah.
And his closing statement was like, plans are good, but they're not worth something to the effect of, plans are good, but they're not worth anything. It's the doing bit that's worth something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with this
So
magazine
right.
project, Kate just like came into her own as someone who'd, you tried a lot of things, and I think at that time I think it's fair to say, and tell me I'm wrong if not, like, there was definitely that feeling of failing in the system. Like, you're not failing, you're still learning, but the system would perceive it as like, well, you've not held a job for long, you've not done that. To me, that's, you just hadn't found your thing.
Yeah.
And
but everything that I had learned,
shape.
I was able to pull it forward into something else.
All of it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something we talk about a lot here, because we'll have, you know, failed products, or we'll experiment and play. And I read a book a number of years ago that talked about the engineering department at, I don't remember. I think it was GM, actually, funny enough, given where we are. And, you know, as the company got larger, more bloated and more bureaucratic, they started kind of putting their thumb on how productive every department was. And one of the things that they did was they removed the coffee cart in the research and development division, because all the engineers would get, I mean, multiple times an hour, they would sit at the coffee cart and talk to each other about ongoing projects and problems. And after they did that, they saw an immediate decline in sales and an uptick in problems and issues, because you have divisions in this massive industry not speaking to one another. And so I'll tell the guys a lot of the wasted effort and time here, where we're mulling things over, workshopping ideas, it can feel really wasteful.
Yeah.
But 3 years later, we'll be working on a project, and all of a sudden we'll say, hey, remember that little thing that we built? Yeah. I think that would work here. Yeah. I think we could try to pull that back up. And all of a sudden we've got temperature controlled forges in the back, and we've got, there's just, those are the building blocks that later you're going to rely on, that little interaction and information. And, you know, I think especially in the maker community that, a lot of what we do, you know, whether it's welding or it's sewing or it's leather work or it's woodworking, it's all the same. Yep. Mm-hmm. It's all the same. And the information can be so shared and kind of juxtaposed on. You can take, I have on multiple occasions taken information and things that I've learned about farming and apply it to business and apply it to, you know, like production and problems that we're having. And it's just like, it's all the same. And so going into those interactions with a hunger and a fascination, I think it just allows you to develop into a whole person, you know?
Absolutely. Because, yeah. Without having all those experiences, you have to learn and make all the mistakes yourself.
Right.
It goes back to the tacit skill things.
Yeah.
Like, if someone's not made the mistake, if someone has made the mistake and then you go and remake the mistake, it just seems like a bit of a waste of time.
Yeah, it is.
Like, if you'd had that conversation with them and they're like, hey, that doesn't work. Fair enough, if you want to try it for yourself.
Sure.
Of course, do it. But if you can try it yourself and then someone else tries it themselves in the company, and you've got however many guys on the shop floor, say 10, 15 guys who've all tried that mistake.
Right.
You need a new coffee machine. You need somewhere for people to hang out, right? Because it's just not working. And I think to talk to that as well about with all the, we don't track much at all. Like, you read all these business books and it's all KPI this and you know, whatever this is and ROI and blah, blah, whatever that looks like. Like, we try everything for a quarter because we launch quarterly.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the numbers after the quarter.
Yep.
Has the subscriptions gone up? Don't really care what's happened in between with individual sales.
Right.
Has the subscriptions gone up?
Yep.
If yes, what did I do? Continue.
Right.
It really is that simple.
Yes.
And I think there's so much of all this for craftspeople that we definitely notice it, that they get bogged down and they're like, oh, I need to go to, again, like a Shopify site, and it's got a graph when you log on and it's got this, and like it puts people off.
Yeah.
Mm.
Find more people and sell cool stuff to more people.
Right.
It's that simple.
Absolutely. Well, and I think you can get so data driven. One thing that we found in our industry is, you know, early on as we were growing and I was seeing all this tremendous growth come in the door, I thought, well, I need to learn how the big guys are doing this, you know? And so we hired a consultant, we went and did training, we did courses in Six Sigma and lean manufacturing and all this stuff. And we started implementing it and everything fell flat on its face. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, why isn't this stuff working? You know, I'm supposed to see like 10x results, right?
The books say 10x results.
And so what I did instead was I went back and found the people that started those ideas, started them as a problems, like a solution to a problem. So I went back and read Taiichi Ono's memoirs, the guy that started the Toyota production system that became lean manufacturing. I was like, what did he do? He had a different problem. He was in post-World War II Japan. He had no raw materials, no men to work in the factory, no factory to work in, and no capital to purchase anything. So he had to take exactly what he had and apply maximum pressure to every single point. Every machine was run as hard as possible. Every man was forced to work as hard as he possibly could. And the first line of trucks that came out of that factory had one headlight and one set of brakes. It's all they could afford because it would have their production if they put two sets, right? And so I thought, well, that's a very different scenario than, are you tracking all of the data of your production systems? And it's like, am I talking to my people? Are the problems that we're trying to solve the real problems? And it just simplified. And then I read all of Henry Ford's books. And one of the things that he said that I found so interesting, there were 2 points. You're talking about the largest employer in the world at the time. He had no organizational chart, no organizational system. He said the best of the best will automatically rise to the surface naturally. So the leaders of his shop floor became the leaders because they were good at what they did and they were thoughtful and they were trying to solve problems. It just naturally happened. And the other thing that he did was they didn't document any of their failures. He said, if I know what won't work, then I won't try it again later. And so a great example of that was they were heat treating axles and the axles were warping in the heat treat and they could not come up with a system. So he brought in experts and they said, well, yeah, that's a problem. You're going to have to do this and do the straightening procedure. And he said, no. So he hired a 19-year-old engineer fresh out of, I don't even know if he finished his college degree. And he said, here's your problem. The axles are warping. Fix it. And about 6 months later, what he devised was if you spin the axles while you quench them, the centrifugal force applies tension in a way that it won't warp. And so he devised an entire production line that would spin the axles throughout the heat treating process. And Henry Ford was like, yeah, great, do it. And so they built out the entire factory that way. And so the problem solving without the knowledge base of failure was important to him. Yep. And so there's a juxtaposition there. It's like, I think data can be really helpful if you know what you're looking for. Yes. Like you said, are our subscribers going up? Well, you have the data. But if you get into all the weeds of available information, what problem are you solving?
Where are they coming from? What's happening here? How? What?
Right.
Why? Like, it doesn't matter. Are we getting more subscribers?
Right.
Pick a data point
Keep it
and
simple.
go.
Yeah.
It's like that, exactly as you say, is the Henry Ford thing. Like, pick a problem.
Right.
Go.
Right.
That's what it takes. Like,
oh, absolutely.
The problem, solve that problem.
Right.
There is more problems, but you can only do the thing that's in front of you.
You can only do the thing that's in front of you. Yeah.
The Six Sigma thing and the lean manufacturing thing is interesting because I'm definitely noticing it on social media now with Kate knows where I'm going to go with the guys that just sell courses. Most of these people that sell courses out with the craft world is very different. That's schooling and education.
Yeah.
Big into that. Most of these people, look, this course will make you 10 grand a month. They're making 10 grand a month by selling the course. Right. And the Six Sigma thing is that. Like,
yes,
you're making money by taking this memoir and making this lovely system about it. And my dad's done all these Six Sigma training. He works for Oracle and it takes so many people to implement all that perfectly.
Yes.
As a small craft-based business or a small business full stop.
Yes.
Just pick the thing and go.
Right.
Like, you're learning the original lessons from the original memoirs because that's what you're experiencing.
Right. Yeah. Well, and one of the things was when we started the company, easily the biggest problem and the biggest hurdle that we had to overcome was inventory management. So of course I went to, okay, what are the modern inventory solutions? And I started looking around and, everyone was referencing all of these complicated inventory management systems. And again and again and again, I thought, this is too complicated. We are a very small company. I can't pay $40,000 for this inventory management system and I don't have enough SKUs to warrant it. Yeah. So I said, okay, what did they do in post-World War II Japan? They had a Kanban system, which equates to 2 bins for every part. I can do that. So we went out and I bought secondhand bins and we put 2 bins per part and put a tag on the front of every bin. And I will not say that our inventory management systems, disappeared, but they got a lot better. And then I thought, well, I'm still managing this whole system. And I hired a guy and I said, okay, he had implemented a massive inventory system at a huge multinational corporation, and he grew up with my co-founder, and they knew each other, and I respected him. I said, how can we devise a really simple solution to this? And he said, I think your system's working. It just needs someone to watch it. Yeah. And so that's his job now. He just manages and reorders and keeps parts on hand, because nothing is more detrimental than you have set a lead time with a sold product to a customer, and then you go to build the thing and you're missing the thing, and the lead time to get the thing is longer than the lead time with the customer, right? So, at our worst, when Andy and I were hand building all the machines, we had a 16-week lead time. We've had that down to 2 days. And so just having parts on hand and being able to be agile and responsive, and, with the engineering side, it's like, how can I make as many possible things out of the smallest number of SKUs? So anyway, but we had a real problem, and we were able to really solve the problem simply.
Yes.
That's the whole basis of lean. All the Six Sigma stuff is because they're dealing with bloated corporations. I mean, most of what they're doing is clean house, get rid of all the waste, get it out of your way. Well, I can do that, but it doesn't need to be complicated, and you definitely don't need to hire a consultant. No. You need to just look around and say, what's not working?
I think about it with marketing. We've hired a number of marketing agencies over the time, and
nobody knows your product better than you do.
No.
No. Everything I've done's always outperformed, and it's not tooting my own whistle. I'm by no means a marketer. I just know the product.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, nobody's going to sell cola
but you're also
better than you.
You're talking to the people that are using it.
Correct.
That's my greatest asset. I get to talk to the people that are using what we build, and when it's not right, we fix it, and then we implement a change. And that's my entire, up until we hired an engineer, that was our entire research and development. It's like, we just talk to people. Yeah. What's working? What do you need?
Not? Yeah.
And then we can try to fix that problem.
Yep.
But as soon as I look away from that and define what our own problems is based on data, it's like, I don't know. I don't know where to go next. Yeah. But the customers will tell you. The people will tell you. When we were selling raw milk, we talked to our customers. Is it good? Is it bad? What what would you like? Do you want us to buy a different kind of cow? Like what's going on? So speaking to the end user and relying on yourself, not letting self-doubt, because it's so easy to think, well, I don't know how to do this, so I probably shouldn't be doing it. So don't listen to that, for sure. I mean, you guys are here doing it. So tell me more about, so you did the first, you kind of set it up. So how has it changed, and what are you wanting to do with it next?
How has it changed? How has it not changed? So one of the first, I mean, it's also important to mention we're doing this together. For the first 3 years, it was 99.95% Kate, 0.5% me as a sounding board.
Help me.
It wasn't helping. No, under control. One of the biggest things was when I came on was definitely fresh eyes, and just having someone else to look at. One of the first things I noticed is quarterly's amazing. Biannual's amazing. We're getting these book quality magazines out. Right. We have a dip in interest.
Yeah, it's twice a year.
Because it's twice a year, 6 months in between. Like things like strike while the iron's hot, right? Okay. Take that as a clip for the podcast. Very on brand. So we were having this dip in interest, and I was like, and we were also at the same time facing a postage issue. Our first magazines were a kilo, like £2.2.
Yeah.
Like they're a book. Like it's a
right.
We can ask Evan, your marketing guy, about how we market this magazine, because a magazine is not the right word for it.
No, people say it's a book, but it's not quite a book. It's a bookazine, but then people are like, "What's journal, a bookazine? A publication? Okay, what is that? Yeah.
So we were kind of having this problem of a lot of the shipping around the world. For you guys, it's £1. For us, it's 500 grams. So I was like, right, first off, solve that problem.
Yeah,
half that. Oh, that also solves the problem of we're doing it quarterly, so we've got less of a dip.
Right.
That was one of the big things that changed.
And we moved to subscriptions.
Yes. With that changing as well, it allowed us to open subscriptions, which is now just the lifeblood of our business. Yeah. That's we'll talk about. We can talk about it later. That's what's going to start, or that's what is starting to fund the grant fund. The subscription side, quarterly, what seemed like, we're going to have to do more work faster, actually just spread the work out.
Yeah.
And made it much more manageable, because it wasn't like find all these stories and do that.
Yeah.
Because that work was more manageable, it made more time for traveling. We are Indiana, maybe 4,500 miles straight line from home right now, like hanging out with you. Like it allowed us to become more of a lifestyle business as well. Like we're not in this to hit 1.8 million subscribers. Great if we do. If 1.8 million people listen to this and want to subscribe, please do. But it was all about just like making it more manageable to make more of an impact. I think is the big thing. So that changed a lot. Obviously, the style in which it was done, and
it's just evolved, like the design and just for readability.
It's just like, and like you say, it's just listening to people. We've got a lot of products going out now. We're about to cross 40,000 copies sold worldwide. And it's like, we just want people to just let us know. What's not working for you? What is working for you?
Right.
Yeah.
And then
guess, like,
as things move on, it will just
wholesale as well.
on.
Like, we've just been growing. We want our books, magazine, whatever you call it, into a shop so people can hold it. It's in Barnes and Noble, so we've been going to like all the different Barnes and Nobles to see if it's in. We haven't quite caught one yet, but
we've been in pretty rural spots.
That's true. What else? I think it's just been a huge learning curve as well, hasn't it?
It's definitely been a learning curve, and we've definitely tried things that I don't think didn't work. Like, we've done a full hour-long documentary. Plowed a load of money into that. Beautiful, loved it. Really good feedback on it. Done 2 shorter form 6-minute documentaries, and just realised. And I think it's important for anyone that runs a business, certainly in the craft sector, to look back at something and be like, that didn't work yet.
Right.
Yeah.
There's that didn't work, and there's that didn't work yet. Like, we just don't have the bandwidth to do more of them now. We'd love to do more of them. We don't have the expendable capital, and we don't have the bandwidth to do more of them.
Right.
So we'll shelf that project. Doesn't mean it doesn't work.
Yeah.
The podcast was obviously a huge injection into the magazine. We're kind of working on an idea now where we're basically selling out of a lot of back end copies. So we're a print first company. Like, we love physical print. We love physical products. It's who we represent as physical products.
Right.
So our online articles are only being published after the edition is sold out and out of print.
Got it.
That's like a big thing for us. Now that we've sold through almost all of our back editions, we're at a position where we need to really spend some time on that. So that will spend a lot of time. We're just kind of trying to work out a way to get some of the podcasts that are about the interviews behind the magazine. Kind of got this vision of the magazine becomes a gateway into the craft world. Like, those pages are the doors. So read the story, maybe scan however it works, maybe scan the QR code that unlocks, bonus content in the podcast, or maybe that's where the documentaries live behind. And then they will go out, but only once the magazine's sold out. So again, just keeping print first and foremost. So I think, and you know what, like, these are ideas today. We might drive 200 miles tomorrow and have different ideas, and that's fine. Like,
the best ideas we have is when we're just in the car for long hours. They're the best thinking time.
We wanted to do a newspaper for a long time.
We
wanted to do a craft-based newsletter that was a physical newspaper. Still think that'll happen, but it'll be a long way out because it's just volume. So I'd love to do that. That'd be really cool.
And we're trying to do the grant fund. So basically, a portion of our subscribers will actually go towards a grant fund for any maker. So, grant funds can be so hard to come across. Either for a certain craft or a certain area. We want to just
They're not cross-border.
We want to just say, this is cool, we want to help you do it. So part of the subscription money will go towards a maker. So we're trying to work towards that, which I think is cool.
That one's one of them I'm most excited about, because I think you get to a point where, if, like, starting the magazine, like, if you want to see change, make change.
Right.
Like, we've never had a grant fund where we always kind of skirt outside of it. We're not a registered charity. We are a business. Like, there's always some infringement that doesn't allow us to do it, and there is times we've needed the cash, and there's times people have, mentioned to us they need it. Like, even some of the books that I've read to help me in my marketing career, makers will be like, how do I market? Like, we'll go and buy them the books because they're just skin. And like, there is just daft little things like that. That I think, like, as a small husband and wife team, you genuinely can make a real difference. Like, just with real hard work. So I kind of sat down and looked at the numbers, and we hit a real price. Printing's one of those things, like machining, like tooling. You have to pay for the tooling up front. So the initial tooling cost is astronomical per magazine. And then every copy after that is considerably cheaper. And there's considerable stop gaps. Once you go over certain, you hit a full paper ream, then you hit 2 full paper reams, and then once you hit like 3 full paper reams, that brings cost down because they can buy it on a roll, they can cut it. There's like loads of systematic things. So we looked at the first real stopgap for us, and that was 2,500 subscribers. Done the maths, back calculated it all, and we're like, right, we're going to do this, but we're going to do it super transparently. Like, we'll do it the absolute best we can. So it's 11% of all subscription sales once we hit 2,500 subscribers and above. Every launch, so that'll be 4 times a year. It's a minimum of £3,970 at 2,500 subscribers, which is something in dollars.
I can't help you with that.
$6,500, $7,000 will be put out to makers for something they need for their business, something that'll last. Whether it's I need a new anvil, or I need to buy a whole iron. I need to buy a forge press. Like it'll be something for makers that they can go out and buy, that they can all apply for it. It really helps us. Like it's not just about helping the maker. We want to help the maker, but it really helps us as a business, because if we get to that number, people are not just buying a magazine, they're buying supporting of the community.
Yeah.
It helps us hit that stopgap. We decided it's going to be 11% because 10% just felt like everyone does 10%.
Yeah.
11% was literally the most I could squeeze out of it, like to the penny.
Right.
It's not 11% after postage, after print, it's 11% off the top.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm quite excited about, because I kind of put, those mad game shows where they got the huge comedy check.
Yes.
Like, I'm really looking forward to the day where I can turn around to a maker and just be like, here's your comedy check. you can't check it in, but please give me your bank details. I think it'll be cool.
Yeah.
And it just goes back to that point of like, you can make a difference.
Yes.
Just do it.
Right.
Just do the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's fun working together. Although you're working full time at the minute, we're hoping.
I was on full time for 18 months, and then we've got this future plan of digitising stuff and just generally scaling up. So I got offered a really good contract. So I took that again. So I've got till December on that. And that's the other thing. Like, you can do both.
Yeah.
Like if you to us, like we were in a position where we could have attracted investors, lost percentage of the company, wouldn't have had full control, etc., etc.
Right.
Or I can just go back to work for 6 months.
Right.
Still work on this. Yes, I'm working my tail off for 6 months, doing both jobs. Kate can still keep full eyes on. It relieves a lot of pressure for Kate. There's something to be said for that. Like the amount of pressure you can relieve. I don't think making loads of money is everything, but it does release a lot of pressure.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure. And if I can do that to release some pressure off Kate, so Kate can continue to put amazing content and do the work we're trying to do, that's worth it.
Yeah.
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 That's very cool. I want to definitely put you guys on blast. Tell me all about where we can find more information about what you guys are doing, where we can stay up to date, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so our Instagram is weare_makers. That's where we put most of our stuff.
Okay.
We update like our travel, our magazine and content, just the day on the road, general content, and then we've got the handles and the same on everything. So YouTube, Facebook. What else do we have?
Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Yes. We're great at this.
Loads.
And then,
wearemakers.shop for the actual magazine, and the grant fund is right underneath the header there, the We Are Makers Grant Fund, which explains it all. And really it is just the subscription side that is the absolute lifeblood of our business.
Yeah.
This US thing as well, so one thing we probably don't talk about nearly enough is the general cost of running a magazine. So we lose about 50 cents on every single American order at the minute, because we've just signed with a huge fulfillment company that is just fantastic. They've dealt with everything. The reason we always wanted to make that move, we reckon we're about 2 years out of it, so we just bit the bullet after loads of really bad fulfillment issues. So we lose 50 cents on everyone, but the idea being this fulfillment company has US depots, has EU depots, has also, once we get to that size again, to that 2,500, so once we get to like 500-600 American customers, I think we've got 200 subscribers in America, so the 500-600, it makes it viable to just ship them a pallet straight to the US and then centrally distribute.
Yeah.
So there's loads of things like that, and you'll know yourself, you're just chasing efficiencies somewhere.
Right.
And I think certainly for us, I don't know how it pertains to craft businesses in general, but certainly for us, there is losses you're willing to make for the mission to work.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you've got a good American audience, it'd be real good. If
Absolutely. No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, but you know what, man? Like, all things aside, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like, I think we'd be doing something similar to this if we weren't doing the magazine. It wasn't our business.
Yeah.
We'd still be visiting workshops. We'd still be like think about you when you're doing your YouTube tour.
Yeah.
Like just dropping through places.
Right.
It's cool.
Oh yeah, no, that was like 90% of why I wanted to do it. I wanted to go meet the CEOs and the founders and the owners, and I wanted to see the shops. I wanted to see how they were run. I wanted to see what worked and what didn't. I wanted to see companies that have been around for 100 plus years. When we went to the last one that we did was at Warwood Tool. It's in Warwood, West Virginia. So the name of the town is literally named after the company. And they have, engravings of the original factory when it was built. There was not a single house around. Now there's like 10,000 houses all around it. It's telling a story of who we are as a nation. But even more importantly, it's a reminder that, we need to go to work. We have a local blacksmith, and he is been in industrial forging shops his entire life. His family owned industrial forging and heat treating shops, and his fun little phrase is always "find the work, do the work."
I just took a picture of that one.
Yeah, he's just that's just his thing, and so I think in closing, that's probably going to be go find the work and then do the work.
Yeah,
that's good
I
stuff.
love that. When I seen that there, I took a picture of it. I was like, that's the one.
Yeah, that's his Kurt Fehrenbach. That's his logo.
That's cool.
And we visited a shop down just maybe half hour from us that his family was founding members of, and they still have a 3,000 pound steam hammer. They are still, that's all they do. And the guy that runs that company would be an interesting person to talk to for you guys. His name's Norbert. He ran an aviation machine shop in Colombia, sold the company, moved here, bought that factory because he said he was just sick of seeing American manufacturing disappear.
Yeah,
Nice.
cool.
And I was like vibrating the whole time I was talking with him. He's like 5 feet tall and he's just fiery. He's here for a reason. He found the work and he's doing it. And it's just like super
I love
cool.
that.
And their shop is all steam powered, and as you're walking in, steam's pouring out the door. It's a good place to visit.
How is America for that? Just dudes that are just finding dudes and women that are just finding the work and just.
Well, it depends. I mean, I feel like probably 10% of the people that I talk to see the problem and are frustrated by the problem. Half of those people are willing to do something about it, and then half of those, so 2%, are actually doing something about it. But I genuinely think that people don't realize that they can.
Yeah.
And so every time I am in a podcast or in an interview with somebody, I always say, I had no reason to start this business. I had no expertise. I had no knowledge base. I just did.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know I shouldn't.
Dude, I think I'm going to pinch that. Like, I don't want to take that forward because that is it. Like, we didn't know we could.
Yeah.
We've got no right being in the market space.
Yeah.
I speak to some of the distributors and they're like, what do you mean they don't return sailor return? It's in the title.
Yeah.
That's how it's worked for 50 years.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
Like,
It shouldn't happen like
It
that.
shouldn't happen like that. But you just don't know, right? So you just do it your way. And there's a bit of power in that, I think. Like, you're just doing it your way.
Yeah.
Dude, I've loved this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
this
so
has
much.
been
for having
great.
us.
Guys,
Yeah.
thanks so much for visiting. This
Oh,
has
thank
been
you.
absolutely spectacular. And go to the website, We Are Makers, subscribe. We need to get their numbers up. We've got 200 subscribers. Hopefully after this, you'll have 500.
Well, we've got 200 subscribers in the US.
In the U.S., right.
Yeah.
Just in the U.S. I don't know. See? Evan is personally funding this with his own bank
love it.
account. I love that.
Thank you.
We've just crossed the 500 mark, which allows us on the next drop to release the first mini grant. So we'll drop a couple of mini grants along the way and
Yeah,
just
it's gonna
help
be
out
awesome.
what we can.
I love
so, yeah,
it.
it's good. It's good.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks again, buddy.
guys.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right.
Au revoir.
Oh, there we go.